Hello, Arav. Um,
Hello.
we're waiting for Advik, right? I think Nikhil may not be able to join in. All right, let's just give it another couple minutes, and then we should be starting off soon. Hey, Utrika, hi.
Hi, hi.
We're just waiting for a couple minutes more, and then we'll start off.
Hey guys.
Hey, Karthik, hi.
Hey.
Uh, I think we're just waiting for Advik to come by, and then we should be good to go, Karthik.
Sure. Hey, can we have everybody's videos turned on, please?
Yep.
Alex also here.
Prajwal, Arav, Faraz, and hey,
Advik here.
would be good to turn on your cameras so it'll be a human conversation rather than talking to a black box. Hey, Arav, good to
Hi.
see you, Faraz. There's Advik and
Excellent.
Prajwal.
Everybody's on camera for once. Good.
No, they were on camera previously also, so I mean,
Last
so
time also. Good.
yeah,
Good. I think Nikhil's not going to be there, right? Prajwal?
Yes, sir. Nick is not going to be there.
Sure. Let's get started then, guys. I'm going to be unmuted.
sure. Awesome. So we will get started off. So typically every week, so let me just share my screen for a quick moment.
Hey, I missed the last week. We've already done a quick round of introductions, right? Everybody knows each other.
Yes, Karthik.
Okay, good.
And I'm assuming everyone remembers the other person too. But I think we had a quick roundup of what projects we're going to build, a brief idea of what the overall Capstone project, the cohort looks like, what's happening in the next 10 to 12 weeks. We'll just do a quick summary of how the program looks like as well, and then we'll get started off with session one.
Sure. Please go ahead.
All right. So guys, like before we start off, let's also arrive at some basic ground rules so that we take this cohort into a smooth functioning one, right? Like and our target is by the end of week 11, 12, we should all have like killer capstone projects built out, shipped out, ready to be showcased to the external world, right? So that's the eventual goal. And this is going to be super hands-on. It's going to be super deep, where you're going to deep dive, do a lot of dirty digging, understanding, like a lot of research, a lot of thinking, a lot of contribution from your side. Between me and Pritish, we're going to take available for any calls, any doubts, any questions that you may have throughout the program in between each session across. But what's very important is the format of this entire cohort is going to be every week we're going to have a live session. This would be like different types of sessions. One type would be it's going to be a masterclass where we're going to talk about a few real world concepts which are actually in use with like all state of the art products employed, right? Or there could be other types of live sessions where we would all be debugging and building code, executing testing scenarios, writing use cases, and all of that. Then we're also going to do a lot of sessions where we'll try finding out where do we get our first set of users from. It's going to be as close to real world as possible. And you're encouraged to ask any questions or any doubts that you have. Use these time and sessions for housekeeping, sorry, any kind of brainstorming, etc. Right? Awesome. Feel free to pause us if you have any questions throughout the session. So roughly, this is how it's going to look like. Week one, which is this week, we're going to talk about market research and competitive intelligence. The whole idea is we need to get a clear-cut answer as to what is it that we're actually building, right? Like it's not like a one-liner sentence anymore. It's now going to be filled with details about like who our target audience is, what pain points are we solving for them, how are we visualizing solutions for them, how are we going to make an impact for those problem statements, and then eventually how do we ship it and acquire users. So a basic idea of what our product is something that we're going to get by the end of week one. Next, we'll move into art of prompting, specifically tailored towards building products, writing code, and all of that. Because what we have is about 12 weeks put together, somewhere around 40 to 50 hours of time for the entire product. Now, this is super, super short, but super, super long enough if we use AI the right way, right? So we're going to talk about um, how to use AI in a few different sets of the entire product building process to accelerate your building. Then we're going to get deep dive into technical foundations. We're going to identify the MVP. We're going to start writing the PRDs and everything. Week four is where we'll start rapidly building with Bolt. Again, Bolt is just a placeholder tool, right? We could also explore a lot more tools. There are a lot more AI tools. We can pick one which is convenient to you. Week four, five, six, maybe seven is where we will work on actively building the product. So in sessions and even after sessions, there's going to be some post-session work related to building, debugging, troubleshooting, iterations, feedback, and all of that. Week eight onwards is where we start talking about launch. How do we execute a launch? How do we start finding our first 10 beta users for starters? And then further iterations on the product once we get more feedback from real users, right? And towards the end of the cohort, we will start working on portfolio creation and how did this capstone impact your journey so far, right? So this is how the overall program looks like. And let's get started off with uh, week one, right? The first objective of week one, the answer that we're looking for is a clear-cut description of what is it that we're going to build, right? Follow on, like handing this over to Pritish next, who's going to take it forward. Pritish has done this in the past for quite a lot, like even back at Byju's, even back at Samsung, where he's ideated from where there was no product to identifying, like, there is a pain point, to identifying who is the market, who's the target audience, and then shipping products for it, right? So he's going to share some of the standard procedures and processes which most product builders do to start thinking about, how do you think right about product design, right? That's a first step that we're going to talk about. Whatever concepts that we're going to explore in this session, please start applying them to the capstone project that you are going to build in and design. If you have any questions, pause, ask away at any point in time. This is going to be an interactive session, so we're going to need you to contribute back. And yeah, let's just have fun. Over to you, Pratish. Do you want me to move to the next slide while you run through, or do you want to screen
Yeah,
share?
yeah. It's okay. Let it be here. Let the slide be here. And hello, everyone. Thank you, Gautam, for the great start. As he was mentioning about the product development cycle, the very first step that sits there is the market research. Again, this might sound counterintuitive, but that's where all the development or all the products begin with. So, see, the idea is if you establish the need of a product right, if you establish the problem statement right, you would be able to kill the market, kill the entire thing with your own idea and be the next $1 billion or a multi-billion dollar company. So, to start things off, let's do a very simple activity. Again, I see all of you are awake and ready to begin. So let's look at the three of the one of the most common products that are out there. Let me know if you don't are not aware of what these products are. Discord, TikTok, and Notion. Show of hands if people know what these products are.
You may not know Notion.
Okay. Okay.
Does
Discord.
everybody know Notion? Can some Advik, do you know?
Yes, Notion is like a note-taking app where you can save it to the cloud, so that's why it's pretty popular, like database functionality.
Yeah, good.
Correct.
I think
Amazing.
TikTok and Discord, everybody will know.
Yeah, the right audience for TikTok and Discord. Anyway, so you can see on the screen, let's say I take Discord to begin with. I think most of us are aware of the application. I've given you 5 pointers about Discord, which these features exist today. Essentially, they have server organization, they have voice chat for gaming, music bots and integrations are there, video calls and screen sharings are supported, and there are some moderation tool for chats, right? So take a step back. When this company was established, you can go unmute or you can type on the chat. What do you think was the first feature these company Discord launched with?
Okay, we're not going to the next screen until we hear some answers. So take a wild guess, guys.
Was it just texting in general?
Sorry, Prajwal, you're saying something?
Was it just texting in general?
Text
Texting.
general. Okay,
Okay.
okay,
Probably,
that's an option.
probably
Right.
server organization.
For us,
Probably server organization because that was pretty much absent in every single other app in its competition.
server organization.
Okay.
Nice. Got it. Any other answers for TikTok, Notion?
Advik?
I think Notion started with like either like basic text editing or database functionality. I think it's database functionality because that could be like unique because text editing is kind of common. But like, so I probably database functionality.
Okay.
Right. And TikTok?
I think probably for TikTok, AI powered recommendation algorithm, maybe.
Recommendation algorithm. Got it.
Got it.
Interesting choices.
Arav?
I just said the TikTok one.
Okay.
Should we go next, Pratish?
Yep. Yep.
Time.
So yeah, so before we go on, okay, anyway, so before we go on to the next slide, I think it's very important to strip the product down to its very basic, because if we start to worry about all the fluff around it, we might be lost in translation, because we might be solving too many problems at the same time and we will be solving all of them very poorly. So that is where your market fit or the product design comes into picture, is what is one core problem that you are trying to solve. So when I think Faraz, you mentioned that server organization for Discord was a big pain point back then, right? Or somebody mentioned about the AI powered algorithm for TikTok. Now, all of these things need to be the core basic element of each of these apps. Then only the app would scale or the app would grow. So, what do I mean by that is, like, can we move on to the next slide, please? So, when Discord kind of started, some of you mentioned a lot of things, right? Like there was server organization was a problem or a chat was a problem. But the biggest problem that gamers back then faced is there was no way to talk to each other. They used to game, again, I'm being a gamer for past decade or so. We used to game on Steam, but then there's no way to talk to people until Discord was there. And that kind of extended to other forms of gaming or other forms of meetups and bunch of other things that was extended, but it was never intended anything outside a voice chat room for gamers, which was back in 2015. But eventually, see, what you know of as Discord today is not something that it started with, and that we need to be very sure of while we are starting to build our own products. The product that we are building today might be very difficult, might be very different from what it is tomorrow. Same thing is with TikTok as well. So the TikTok started, there was no AI algorithm, there was nothing back when TikTok started its journey. The only thing that it had was 15-second video functionality, where creators can record 15-second video and then push it out. That's it. There was nothing else. So all of it, what you see today, is built over the years based on what users demanded. And then we had the Notion app where as one of you rightfully said, note taking was one of the basic things that you know Notion as, right? So that is where Notion kind of started, and all the features that you see as database and other things came up at a later point in time. The reason why I'm telling all of you this is, have one problem that we are trying to solve, even the problem is very stupidly simple, it's okay. Even if note taking was a very basic problem or chat room is a very basic problem, take that one problem and start the product development. Your users will guide your innovation. You don't have to actually sit today and innovate what your product looks like 10 years from now. Your users will actually evolve your product over the course of time. So the market research is very, very critical because, again, it's a very common fact in Silicon Valley, both in US and India, in the Bay Area and in Bangalore, is a lot of startups open every day. The number of startups that close every day is also is super high, simply because they have not found the PMF or the product market fit. So again, I've given you two success stories of an email client superhuman, but I think you might resonate a lot with Airbnb, right? I think you might have probably used that. Now, let me tell you a small anecdote about Airbnb. Airbnb was started very, very simple, in a very simple way. So the founders were traveling to somewhere in Europe, I think it's Paris, and then they were attending a designers conference, architectural conference, and then for them, hotel booking was very expensive, and they kind of wanted to stay in places which was not expensive but again close to the venue. And that is where your Airbnb was born, and they figured out that there are a bunch of people in that convention who were Paris native, and then they asked them that, can we stay in your apartment for a few days until the convention is done? And all of it was not the cool application that you see today. It was a simple pen and paper at the registration desk asking people that, are you looking for a home, or do you offer home in exchange of some amount of euros? So that was the whole idea. It was not a cool app. It was no feature, nothing. It was simply a problem that people in conventions visit for short duration, and they want to mingle with like-minded people. They wanted to meet with other people who are in convention. And what is the best way to mingle is actually living together. And then they scaled this product from that simple room, I mean, sharing rooms, to actually what the billion-dollar company it is of today. So again, start stupidly simple, scale as and when your users need it. Don't scale unnecessarily and add more fluff to your product. Then I'll take the flip side of it. Again, I would request you to kind of stop me in between if you need some additional information from my side. I'll happy to answer questions. Otherwise, I'll assume that all of it was consumed and I'll move forward. Okay. So the next point that I would like to drive is, if the founders have not find the proper product market fit, the startups are doomed to fail. So take an example of Quibi. Quibi was a couple of billion-dollar company. There were investments were made on couple of $1 billion, and they went ahead with a simple assumption that people want paid mobile only short form content. That the short form content which is there has to be paid, and they went all hell blazing there, all guns blazing there, and then they never actually tested it, that whether people would actually pay for it or not. It's something might seem cool to you, might, even if you don't test it out on your users, if you don't test it out on real people, is where the startups essentially fail. So even if you pour in billions of dollars, there's no guarantee that your startup is going to succeed. Money is good enabler, but it won't guarantee your product is going to succeed. Similarly, Olive AI is one of the companies that kind of came up in 2020s or 2021s. They had a close to $1 billion budget, and they assumed that through AI automation, the health sector will be improved by over 20%. Again, we know we kind of diagnose with AI a lot, but then none of it kind of worked out in their favor, and they burnt a lot of money. And this is not the only stories that you'll hear. There's bunch of things that happen in the tech world where Money won't be able to fix your problem. Even cool technology which is there might not fix the problem. The only thing that fixes a problem is finding the right users where they have a problem and fixing it for them.
Right. Let's take a quick pause here, just to summarize quickly, right? The intent is not to kind of, scare you off saying, hey, without market research, you shouldn't be even thinking of an idea, nothing like that, right? In fact, it's the opposite. All ideas start with personal itch. Like you guys have found one or two problem statements that you wanted to solve in as part of this capstone. Most likely, you would have experienced that in your personal journeys yourself. That's how ideas are born. Now, to reinforce strength into that idea, to ensure that it becomes, it goes through a path of profitability, it goes through a path of usability. This market research is like phenomenally important, right? Like, so that's the intent so far. The next set of slides that we're going to cover, that we're going to talk about, will we'll go deep dive into how we do that, like how do we find such competition and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. And remember the Airbnb example, right? Like the problem has to be, if you have faced the problem, you would actually go ahead and solve it better than anybody else. Now, so now we will take a step back and kind of talk about how do you do your market research and what are the some of the basics that you need to employ while you are trying to solve for your product for your market, right? So here on the screen again, something that you might have seen or heard already is the different forms of competition. Why we have put this here is essentially to make a point that if you see the solution that you're trying to build already has some amount of competition present, meaning the product market fit is sort of established for you. So meaning, let's say, I think one of you mentioned about a pet care, right? As one of your problem statements. I forgot who was it. I think it was Arav, right?
Yeah, me and
Yeah.
Avik.
Yes.
Yeah. So the problem statement that you had, if you could find other people who are trying to solve the same problem, maybe in a similar way or a different way, meaning the need is sort of already established for you. So that is where you need to understand what the competitors are currently doing. And I've taken a simple example of a study app. Again, both of us come from Byju's, the kind of study app stays with us for a while. But the broad idea is if you have a study app and you're building a product in the study in the education space, so there are direct competitors. Direct competitors are a set of companies who have the same solution that you have. There's nothing which is different. There'll be some moat here and there is what distinguishes you, but they have the same solution. They target the same user base. Essentially, if you are trying to build a edtech product, same edtech product by a different company targeting the same K-12 K-10 segment is what your direct competitors are. Indirect competitors are, they have a different solution, but they are solving the same problem. It might be, let's say, your physical classroom or your video lessons, async content becomes or other YouTube channels. They kind of solve the same problem, but the solution is different. The mode in which they're trying to solve the problem is different. Then we have something called as substitute behavior. Substitute behaviors is what they attack the problem, but the what users currently do when they're solving the problem. So they look at the behavior in which the users are currently solving the problem and they alter that behavior is what substitute is. And adjacent is somebody who is not in your current sector. They might not be even competing with you, but they might be in a adjacent or a peripheral sector in which potentially they can invade if the sector sounds very juicy. Let me give you a different example also to drive this point home. Let's say you're operating a restaurant chain with it, you're serving Italian food. So your direct competitors are other Italian chain in the same locality who is serving to the same people. Indirect competitors are would be, let's say, an Indian restaurant or a Mexican restaurant. Again, they're serving the hunger problem, but then the solution is different. You're serving Indian food, they're serving Italian food. Then substitute behavior is essentially what do you go out to do when you're, let's say, going to a restaurant, maybe to socialize. Then any other socialization platform is your substitute behavior. Any of your, let's say, Swiggy or Grab, similar to other countries, become a substitute behavior because they're solving the hunger problem. Same problem, entirely different solution. And then adjacent is somebody who might not be in your target market, let's say Italian restaurant in a different part of the city. not your target market, but they can potentially enter into your space. So that is how you kind of understand all of this. Now I'll take a minute to ask all of you. I'll go ahead with whatever order I see on the screen and tell me for your product idea. State your product idea very briefly, and who do you think is one of these four competitors. It's okay if you don't have the answer, but I would want you to start thinking on whatever frameworks that are displayed on the screen and apply it to your product or your idea. I have Faraz first on my screen, so I'll probably cold call him. So state your idea
Yeah.
very briefly and what competitors are there.
My idea is essentially a smart stock market simulator for teens.
Hmm.
So like if they want to track a certain stock, they can do that via my app, right?
Okay.
So target audience is like high schoolers especially, and I guess the main competitors are, for example, you can track stocks on the newspaper, or you can do it using apps like Front Page and all.
Hmm.
Nice.
Uh, but that's about it. But those don't really target teenagers only, right? Those are
Correct.
for people who are seasoned investors. So
Good
Hmm.
I
point. That's a
guess,
very good point, by the way.
yeah.
Good.
I guess there should be a few apps on the Play Store which allow like a more user-friendly environment for teenagers who want to track stocks. But
Hmm.
apart from that, I don't know of any competition myself.
Okay. 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 Good start. Will help you actually find more competitors in your space in one of the few upcoming slides. Good. Faraz, Advik.
Me and Arav, as you know, are working in that dog, like a pet shelter project, which is an app that helps connect people who are enthusiastic with dogs or want to help out dogs with shelters and other NGOs.
Mhm.
So direct competitors could be perhaps people who are direct, like I think I know indirect competitors which are similar, where they could be like apps that help you foster pets or help pets
Mm.
in need. That could be competition with us, and like other, like which can help like see dogs that need to be adopted or perhaps for donations and all that. Those apps already do exist. I don't know specific examples, but I am sure they exist. And adjacent solutions could be other NGOs implementations, such as perhaps they are having their own cause, their own events, their own drives to get people to donate or to get people to volunteer for a cause that could come in the way. And substitute behaviors is a bit difficult. I think it could be like people who are already trying to do help out pet shelters by going to them individually, not using an app or any digital form of
Great.
communication in order to facilitate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So all
Uh,
your shelter homes, physical shelter homes would kind of come there, right? Where people physically go and visit. Yeah.
Advait, your direct competitor is likely going to be WhatsApp,
Oh, what's that?
meaning most of the pet communication that happens usually happens in WhatsApp groups,
Okay.
right? So don't think necessarily of an app which you will replace. In most cases, there is a certain thing that people will use. That's your competition,
Okay.
right? The
Okay.
more you constrain it to your mechanism, you will lose out on the real where the juice is sitting. In this case, there's a lot of subgroups, for example, in Bangalore or Hong Kong or wherever, where people will keep talking about pets. My co-founder, which is Vishy, adopted a pet yesterday, and it came on his neighborhood pet group,
Okay.
right?
Got it. Yeah. I'll definitely look into that as well.
So that is your real competitor, and the question you'll have to think about is why would they step away from that and move into yours?
Okay.
I
Right?
think I want to take like I want to steal that line also, Karthik, what you just said. Right, like now at least for like a few conversations, right? We wouldn't have probably imagined WhatsApp to be one of our direct competitors to pet foster care, application of something like that, right? But see, the most important point on why we're doing all of this is so that the moment we identify competition, that immediately starts triggering us thought process on how they are thinking about solving this problem. Now, take a look at this WhatsApp community itself, right? The way when we analyze, let's say, how a conversation is happening, who puts up a message, who responds to it. After the conversation happens, do they take it on a personal message or not? Like, and then how does the logistics happen? Now, by analyzing something like this, we already have a working solution, which we are trying to make it a bit more simpler, right? Now, this is something maybe if we didn't scan the market, we wouldn't have thought about it. We would have probably ended up building a complex solution, right? Now, that's the intent of identifying what these competitors are for the product.
Okay.
Yep. Over to you, Pritesh.
Yeah. I think Prajwal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, so like I've basically chosen it's like a kind of a VR module kind of project where its main motto is to spread awareness of people facing social challenges and then like actually help them realize or put experience other people's reality. Am I audible, sir, properly?
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Yeah. So for me, looking at direct competitors, according to what Karthik sir said, I think it would be social media because social media platforms actually do the same thing, spreading awareness to the target audience, which would be teens or any of these, basically the public who wants to know about these kind of facts. And then
Right.
eh, indirect competitors would be anyone like what do you say, like organizations which have their main motto as spreading awareness about these social challenges. They would be indirect competitors. Adjacent solutions would be any other VR company which is making any other modules for different purpose, but again targeting the same audience. And substitute behaviors.
See, that's all right. I mean, the idea of this slide, the intent is to, I mean, you don't have to remember any of these,
Uh,
right? That these are merely directions for you to hunt and find competitions, right?
yeah,
Now, when you say direct competitors, you are specifically looking at exact what are those other people who are doing exactly what you wanted to do. Then, like, you'll kind of switch lanes a bit and find out, like, okay, now the problem statement is the same. How are people solving it differently? Like, you find indirect competitors. Now, the people who are finding the same problem statement, what other problem statements do they have, right? And what are
yeah,
people who are solving that? So it just gives you, this framework just gives you different angles, different ways in which you can think about expanding and going deep down into the problem statement that you eventually want to solve. Right? Awesome. Like, I mean, like, really great. I mean, one thing I'm really happy is that uh, you're thinking deep about what you want to build as well. It's a pretty good start, guys. Pretty good start.
Good. There's one more thing which I want you guys to think about. Okay, we are talking about competition here. There's one thing which we are forgetting, which is usually the largest killer for startups, which is inertia. Meaning, we assume that customers always want a better product. Very often they don't care. Meaning the problem itself is not large enough for them to really seek a better solution. So they don't care about your problem. So to an extent, it's almost like you go and pitch to them, they'll be like, yeah, yeah, good, you should do it. Right? The reality is they don't care a damn about your problem. So while you're thinking about competition and all these aspects, also think about, will somebody get out of their chair and actually work towards your product, or they don't care a damn, in which case it's a non-starter the moment you hit the market because you don't even care about the product. A lot of startups end up in this space,
Right.
which is people, when you sit them down for a research, they'll be like, yeah, this is brilliant. An example is Quibi, the one you saw on the previous slide, right? A lot of their research worked really well because when they sat people down and asked them for feedback, they were like, yeah, this is brilliant. But do I care about solving this as a problem? If I don't, then I don't care about your solution. Right? So always think about whether your customer cares about it, or the other way to think about it is, how do I find the customers who care about it? Right? Maybe there is only 100 people who care about my problem, but they actually care a lot. Then I'll solve their problem. Right? I'm going to ignore everybody else. Think about Airbnb, right? If Airbnb said, I'm going to make everybody go and stay in somebody else's house, it's not going to work. They said, I'm going to do this in the context of conferences. Why? Because it's a set of people who have a sort of common purpose, they have a community, hence there's a certain amount of trust already within it. And I'm going to leverage that to build it out. Eventually, I'll open it up. But I don't start there. The biggest problem is how do you get a stranger to come and stay in your house? What if they kill you overnight, right? How do you get past that problem? And that is real. Think about it, right? What if they are a thief? They came to just steal your place. So all of these are real issues. So how do you solve it? They solve it for one segment, and then they figure out a way to expand it. Right? So while you're thinking about this, think about the fact that you don't have to solve for everybody. You just care about a small group of people that you can solve for. That's enough. But they should care about the problem.
Right. That's a good pivot, Kati. In fact, that is what we're going to talk about next. What like the trick to finding the best format of MVP is to understand what to remove, like what distractions to shave off, and focus on that one problem, one solution, one target audience. That's the first thing that we should even move to build with and everything, right? Like again, back to you, Pritesh. Like uh, just
Yeah. So now let's change gears a bit. So now let's talk about, I think all of you were trying to figure out what those competition are or where do you find those users, right? So a brilliant tool again at our disposal is Google Trends. Show of hands, how many know what these Google Trend do? Okay.
does anyone want to give a shot? Like, what does Google Trends do?
It's like you can see what people have searched over time and how popular their searches are. Like you can
Right.
search some keywords and it shows you how much time it's been searched like in a period of time.
Correct.
Uh, should I open that up?
Yeah.
Pritesh?
Yeah, so this is the URL homepage that you'll see for Google Trends, and we can pick up any word as Arav mentioned, right? Like, okay, let's pick up homeschooling. I think there's been talk of the town post COVID a lot. So now, if you will see here, bunch of things you'll see. One is the interest over time. Again, this number is indicatory. It doesn't mean 100 million users, billion users. This is just an indicatory number. But what you should look at the trend as. Arav mentioned that over time you see there's some seasonality which will be there. There will be okay. Yeah, so here if you see we take a 5 year window, so we could see that somewhere around COVID it kind of peaked because a lot of people were contemplating, and over time it had kind of not died down, but the intensity has kind of fallen down, right? And if you see until 2010 or something, there was no search of it, right? Like people did not care at all about the problem of homeschooling. So this is one way to look at how your problem, or see, the important thing is to know the right set of keywords. Let's say again, I'm using pet care as one of the example, but let's say you put pet care, you take dog care, you take let's say cat care, and see how people were kind of responding or searching about it over time, right? So here you will see a comparative. See, if you look at it, right, like the trends are very, very similar. Wherever you see a peak in pet care, you see a peak in the dog care as well. And if you put another filter, let's say cat care or something, you will have somewhat of a similar trend. So what does that essentially mean? Or cat sheltering? Lovely. Okay, this is almost zero, but then this is zero, or because it's not at a higher value as compared to other two. If we remove the pet care and let's say the dog care, you would see some amount of interest present over there. But again, it's very, very minimal in general. You see some traffic is there, right? Again, don't go by these numbers alone, because these numbers is indicatory. And one important thing that you should look at is, again, I think some of you are in a different time zone, so slightly KG, you can go up slightly. So here you can see you can change the filter in the country, you can change the filter in the time frame. This is super, super critical, because at what time you're trying to solve this problem for, right? And what is the country, continent is where you're solving the problem for. So if let's say the traffic is very high for global market, but not at all for, let's say, an Indian market. This is not no need for solving that particular problem, right? So you can change India market, or you can change it to Hong Kong market and see how much people are talking about it, and that will give you some sort of an idea of what part of it you're trying to solve. So let's say if we take the pet care, for example, so should we start with dog care? Should we start with cat care? Should we start with, let's say, cow care, right? So depends on what is your first set of animal that you'll take up, depending upon what is the interest on that animal over the period of time. Again, I've taken a very simple example. Feel free to explore this a bit around your own idea. Let's say, Prajwal, you mentioned about social well-being. I mean, uh, giving an idea about awareness about people, right?
Yes,
Like, so social awareness, what is the trend? So this will give you a sense of how much people even care about your problem. I think Karthik also mentioned something similar on these lines.
So I think one additional thing that I want to add here is let's say I think the cat shelter was a pretty good example. Uh, so, so see again, the problems that we deeply care about are the problems that we will eventually solve the best, right? Now let's take pet shelters, right? Now that's something that we deeply care about. But in India, for example, yeah, I mean, if you look at it recently, there is a rising trend, which means we could capitalize on this market. But the other side, if you look at, let's say, United States or something, right? Now there is a pretty consistent interest area in cat shelters. Now here, this means that behaviorally, people are, people know the concept of, pet shelters and everything out there, right? So that's the idea, right? So this will also help you find out which geography you should target based on your pain point, right? So that's a pretty interesting statistic.
You can even scroll down a bit.
Yeah.
So here it also mentions about the region specific within that particular geography. So that's still even more helpful. Let's say if you are in Bangalore, or if you have filter of India, where should you even target your first set of audience? Is it in the tier one cities, or is it in what part of the country? So there are a bunch of things that it's there. Again, in the interest of time, we'll kind of stop the Google Trends part here, but we would urge you to kind of explore this a lot. You would learn a lot of things about your problem in general, and that's the whole idea from this session as well.
Just one last thing about this thing though. Uh, Try to experiment and find out with 15 to 20 possible keywords that your target audience might search in context of your pain point. Now, don't just give up after three or four. Like, try at least 15 to 20 keywords. That's where you'll start finding that one very particular pain point that you can go after. We'll skip SEMrush for now,
Yeah,
Pritesh. We'll go to the next.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So now you have a lot of information, right? Like you have information about your target audience, you have information about the pain point, you have information about your competitors. And what do you do with all of this, right? Like it's just information. So what you need to do there is condense all of it in some form of digestible format. Is so let's start off with the competitors first, right? Like you know somewhere that let's say SEMrush is one of the tools that give you competitors, right? So I'll urge you to kind of experiment with that. So SEMrush kind of gives you, let's say you put Facebook versus, it'll give you like a 10, 20 companies that kind of compete directly or indirectly. So once you know the set of people that directly or indirectly compete with you, you need to get a sense, like spend around 10 to 15 minutes per competitor, or even more if you have that bandwidth, to understand what are the core feature in each of these competitors, and why do even people go to these competitors. What is the UVP, or the unique value proposition, that is there, that what is that makes them unique, right? So they might be solving the same problem, but there has to be a moat in there, right? Like there has to be a unique element why people turn into them, right? Like Facebook, Twitter, your LinkedIn, all of it are social media platform, but all of it have their own moat, right? That is where all of them coexist. Otherwise, one would have been overpowering the other. So each have their own moats. You need to figure out what is the moat of each of these apps. Then the most important thing that you should look at is the complaints that people have with each of these solution. And that is where if you find around 10 to 15 or 5 people talking about a problem in that particular product, you have hit gold. So that is where you should go after. That let's say the current solution people have are saying that okay, this is inconvenient in this solution, attack that problem. And again, you have to always have a yardstick in your back of the mind that is it a big enough problem for me to even solve, right? Again, people might be just ranting on in the internet, but once you find a few problem statements, take a note of it. That okay, people are talking about, let's say, the inconvenience element of it, people are talking about the UI being bad, people are talking about the overall look and feel, people might be talking about anything, right? Once you find those negative reviews, negative elements, pick them out, and that's where you need to start probably building for. And then finally, what is the pricing model that will come probably at a later point in time is when you start to uh, price your services. But again, keep that in mind while you are starting to do the research about these competitors and essentially user acquisition on how did these companies get their first set of users. And as I was saying earlier, right, like 1 star and 2 star reviews might be super critical to these companies that they need to go ahead and fix it, but it's even more critical for you as an entrepreneur or as a startup founder is what are the pain points. And there are two ways to look at it. First is if it's a direct app or a product which is available on Play Store, App Store, Chrome Store, again bunch of places you find these apps. See what those 1 to 2 star reviews talk about and take it with a pinch of salt. As I was saying earlier, people rant on internet a lot, so you have to denoise all of it. So start looking at the current pain points that people are mentioning in those forums and look at the timestamp. It's super critical because some of it, the solutions might have even solved for it, right? Let's say the 1 star review was 2018 or 2019 comment, these people would have already solved it. You don't have to go ahead and dig deeper there. So look at the last 5 months, 6 months, 10 months worth of data and to figure out what people are talking about in general for, let's say, an app product, and similarly for a physical product, right? Like let's say the pet shelters which are present, right? So what are the Google reviews that are present in these places, and what do people talk good or bad things about it? Your focus should be always about the bad things. Good is something that anyway you would try to match it up, but bad things is where you should look for solving the problems. Then so far so good, right? Do you guys have any questions?
Okay. So there are a lot of sideways head movements, so we can proceed.
Okay. Cool. So now, once you have established what your competitors are,
So
then we
just
should.
a bit of timekeeping, Pratish. We have about 5 to 10 minutes left.
Okay. Okay. I think we are almost at the end of the presentation. So now, how do you discover the real problems that the users are facing, right? Like you found out the competitors, you need to find out what exactly their problems are. One, I told you about the Google reviews and Play Store reviews or other places to get their reviews. Other useful places, again, it's very dependent on your problem statement. Again, don't take it sacrosanct what is there on the slide. Take it with the fact that where your users are. Let's say if you're trying to build a product for elderly, if you start hunting on Reddit, might be a very bad place to look at. Your ideal place may be, let's say, a Facebook groups or your WhatsApp chats, right? That's where your majority of people would have gone on complaining. So the forum choice depends on who your target audience are and where do they go and complain. Give me a nod if you understood what I just said, or I would repeat. Okay, great. So Twitter is one of the platforms where people talk generally about the tech stuff and the new stuff which is happening. Reddit is where people go all the way ranting because it partly is anonymity, right? So you need to choose the platform correctly where people go ahead and talk about the problems. And YouTube is again one of the gold mines. But look at the comment section more than the YouTube video. On the comment section of the video is where people would have talked about the problem statement.
In fact, about that, right, about YouTube comment analysis, it's so valuable. Uh, why? Because YouTube easily available. it's easily usable, and I'm sure YouTube is a very integral part of our day-to-day life. You would have been using it for a lot of tutorials, a lot of references, and all of that, right? So for your like any idea, for example, again, pet shelter idea, like search for like pet shelters in Bangalore, pet shelters in Chennai, somewhere else, right? And see what come through. Like Pritish said, the real deal is in the comments. Like go immediately into the comments. You even if you find one negative comment, that means a person who actually faced that issue took the time to go and comment on a YouTube video that he saw. Now that means that one comment is not just that one comment alone, could also represent a group of other people who may have a similar idea, and hence comments. So the comment section is a very it's a golden place, like Pritish mentioned.
Yeah. Then again, right, like once you have figured out the problem statements, again, going back on the Google Trends to figure out how many people have similar problems, right? Let's say you figured out in the, as Gautam was saying about the pet care thing, right? Like people say that, oh, I really face this problem of finding donation places. Now go back to Google Trends and see how many people are searching for donation places, right? Again, that's where establishing the criticality of the problem comes in, that are people even bothered about it to go ahead and search. If people just comment it and don't search for it on internet, doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So you might have to take a different problem. So that's where you need to prioritize which problem would come, which needs to be solved, right? Yeah. And then I think this is the last bit of the slide where we would need to find out the target audience. Again, right? Like as I was saying earlier, it is a huge function of who your target audience is and where do they reside. Not all people are on Twitter, not all people are on Facebook, not all people are LinkedIn. Even if they have an account, they might not be active there to talk about the life experiences in general. So pick the right platform. Again, we would be there in this journey with all of you, so we'll help you once you maybe you can come back saying that, okay, I found that X, Y, and Z are the places where I think my users might be sitting. We might be able to help you, coach you there to understand, okay, you might have overstepped here or you might have understepped there, right? So that's where we might be able to help you out to find your user segment. And to kind of bring all of this into a single perspective is once when you're doing your research work, first is problem pattern recognition. Is you need to understand what problems exist for the users that you're trying to solve with your solution. The solution needs to be simple. It need not need to be a huge app with 10,000 features in it. It has to have one core problem solved by one core solution. Yeah,
Pritish, we have a question.
yeah, for us, go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier we're supposed to find out where our target audience resides, right?
Hmm,
So essentially, my target audience is high schoolers, and high schoolers mainly are very active on TikTok. But like
correct,
there are alternatives like Instagram and all, but the bulk of them is in TikTok. But since
correct.
TikTok is like banned in India, how could I get some motion on that app?
Good question, actually. In fact, so this is where we start looking at proxies, right? Uh, in fact, what we're going to do next, right? Over the week, there's going to be a certain bit of off-session work that all of you would be given. And then between me and Pritesh, we will have like one-on conversations with you where we spend some time really understanding, discussing your project idea, and will give you like a initial head start. For example, in this case, right? Uh, okay, like why do you think that most of the high schoolers are present in, let's say, a TikTok, right? Like what are other lesser known, but big enough audiences or communities where we can explore and improve? We'll have those conversations, get you thinking towards like a certain direction. You do some research out there, come back with, let's say, a few answers, we validate. And if those answers seem reasonable to to you, to us, and then that's when we take a step forward and then. But you're actually thinking along the right lines already for us, so keep up to the same direction already.
Yeah, and on that point, let's say the TikTok is banned for you as a creator, meaning TikTok would be banned for the user as well, right? In that particular geography. So there would be alternatives which are present to TikTok, because globally TikTok might be very popular for that age group, but you are not solving for, let's say, a global audience today. You might be solving for a small audience sitting in some part of the country, right? For them, there might be an alternative which is present already.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, so the simplicity of the solution is super critical. You pick one problem, solve that particular problem with just one solution. You don't over fluff it. Take example of Discord, take example of TikTok. They solved one problem in one simple solution, and that's where they kind of succeeded. And what we have done is for market validation. So we have a small set of checklist. Again, don't take it sacrosanct. There are few things that we felt between me and KG is something that would help you get a some sort of start is to first is a problem evidence. If you find 10 people talking about a particular problem, meaning the problem is still is there, right? If you could take snippets of Reddits or take snippets of YouTube comments where people are saying that, okay, I have this particular problem, meaning the problem is there, right? And then identify the existing solution with negative reviews, meaning people care about that problem to post negatively about it. And then people are searching on Google Trends, right? If you find certain traffic on your particular pain point, meaning there is some amount of demand. Again, this is not sacrosanct. Again, I'm saying throughout this presentation, I think the risk of repeating myself, none of this is sacrosanct. This is just directional for you to help you think on the lines of product development, because each product, each solution is absolutely different from one another, and the approaches that you take for each of this activity has to be different.
Right.
And I would leave you today with this small image. Again, this was Instagram's journey. Again, this is from Business Insider. They did a small article back in 2016 on showing the evolution of Instagram from 2011 to 2016. So here you can see, again, this might be slightly small for you, but you get the look and feel, right? So Instagram kind of started with just four tabs in between at the bottom, where they have a photo you can click, share it with people, people can like it. There's no comment section, nothing. And there's basic level of editing. You can see there are 4 to 5 inbuilt filters that you can edit, and that was it. It was just a photo sharing platform, nothing else. Then once they started to acquire users, they made the UI a bit neater. The icons resembled a few things. They added a bunch of filters there. So and they added comments here and there. So things evolved. It was never started off with what you see today. Probably in 2016, 2013 you can see there's bunch of things where you can search for content. Earlier you can't even search for content. Now today you can see on Instagram you can search for a certain set of reels or photos. Search was probably added in 2013. In 2014, now you can see you can take pictures there, right? Earlier you could take pictures in a phone camera, share it. Clicking pictures was not present. Then now you can see it's come to a profile page where people's profiles are visible to others, and they can see content there. And then finally 2016 is where you can see somewhat similar to your today's Instagram version. You can see messages being there, notifications being present. So what you see today, Instagram was never it what it started with. It took them 15 years, right? Like from 2011 to 2025 to build the feature that you see today. So don't start comparing your product with somebody's 15 years of journey. You should look at how it kind of started and how it kind of evolved over the period of time. I got this thing from Business Insider. You can probably take a look. It's a slightly longer document there in your time. And probably I'll hand over to KG for the next steps.
Yeah. So, wrapping things up, like so far, what we've done is understanding the need of why we need to do market research so that we understand our product, like more than a product, what to do in our product a bit more better, not just a gut feel, but based on periodic evidence out there, right? Then follow certain digital footprints, and find out where your potential users possibly exist, right? Validate your demand, like use tools like Google Trends, and these are pretty simple tools to use, right? To have like a subtle indicator that okay, a market for this kind of a problem exists. Then find out competitors, find out gaps in what they're doing, specifically negative reviews and comments which validate certain pain points. And lastly, steps 1 to 4 will lead you to the fifth step, which is a very clearly defined problem statement, which we are going to refine it and bringing it up to a certain specific shape, right? Don't worry about remembering all of this. We're going to send some notes soon enough. But there is certain now the important part comes now, actually, right? Like uh, after every session, like we discussed, right, there's going to be certain off session work that you'll have to do. Like we said, it's going to be super, super hands on, meaning you need to take charge or you need to take control of the entire product building process so that you are aware of every step that you're taking. So in this step, right, the final outcome is what is your MVP, minimum viable product, right? Like what is the bare bones product that we're going to launch? Like again, we're like Pritesh said, right? We're not competing with an Instagram's 15-year journey. We're trying to aim at what was Instagram's first app that they launched, right? So that's our end goal by the end of 10 to 12 weeks, right? So how do we get there? Again, start off with competitive analysis, just 3 to 4 competitors, right? You could choose between direct, indirect, or any of it. We say direct because it gives you a bit more closer picture. For each competitors, again, when you do competitor analysis, make a deliberate attempt. Find out what their core features are. Maybe if they have apps, maybe try using them, right? Like find out user complaints. There are like popular forums like G2, Trustpilot. There are like Google reviews, App Store reviews, Play Store reviews, like lots of places out there, right? Make a note, like write down, maybe put a spreadsheet or but write down all the negative feedback that people have, and additionally, optionally, what is their pricing model. I mean, the fact that there is a pricing model means that people are paying for it, which means it's a real problem and there is a solution that has already been defined, right? So that's like, a simple feature comparison of sorts, right? That then go deep down into pain point discovery. Same thing, App Store, social media, Google reviews, and the most important thing is the more you document, the better you understand, the better you have a sense of things. Because what we are doing today, we'll definitely forget next week. So document as much as you can. Quick market validation, put some screenshots of Google Trends. Are there enough search volumes, any seasonal patterns? For example, homeschooling, what we first showed, right? If you look at it, it is a periodic trend. It always starts off in somewhere in August, September, right? What happens then? Like that might be the right time to market your product and stuff like that, right? With all of that, what you're going to have is your number one pain point. Like I think what we covered in one of the points here, right? Identify one core problem so that you can and then use the rest of the data that you collected to find formulate one core solution on how you approach with that problem, right? So that is what we're going to look at, like biggest pain point, how will you solve this one problem slightly better. You don't have to make it like miles better, slightly better, right? And what will be a success? How would you know that this is actually slightly better? It can't be like our own validation that, hey, this product is better because I built it. It has to be like how are your users telling you that they like this product, right? So these are some pretty basic things. Now, again, we'll share certain formats over email because I think email is one place where all of you have access to emails. Any which case, so we'll continue to use emails till we find a better mode of communication. Um, but yeah, so we'll share like a lot of we'll share some content about this. We'll share some articles, and we'll also share with you like a rough. We'll share a Google Doc specifically, which you can duplicate and use it as your journal. Keep documenting every stage, every step of your journey. Trust me, you will forget by the time you reach week 4 and week 5. There'll be questions as to why am I building this feature at this point. Documentation helps, right? So this is sort of again, I don't know if you like the word. This is sort of homework for you. We actually did like a short 3-5 minute talk about between British and I, like how do we avoid the word homework? So we coined up like off session work. But then that's what this really is, right? This is your actual core research, and this is the point where it makes a difference. Between me and Pritish, we've been building like quite a bit of products, but then what we found out, if we don't like a very put more focus right now in terms of discussing, identifying the need of your problem statement more, because the effort that you put here, you'll find rewards when you actually start building it. Once you start off with week 2 and week 3, it's going to be like super, 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 super quick because we're going to use AI to turbocharge the entire process. So what is going to happen after your off session work is done? Why this off-session work is very important is because week 2 we're going to start talking about something which is called the product requirement document. Most of you would have had an idea about this. This is a document that tells developers, that tells designers, that tells hypothetically if you let's say hire a team to build a product, a product, you'll have developers, you'll have product researchers, you'll have designers, you'll have a lot of people, right? Like what document tells all of them about what we're building. That is the single most very important point that we will talk about, and we will be working on that next. But we cannot work on this if we don't have the MVP properly defined, right? Which is why this becomes super, super important. Now, throughout the next week, right? Typically around this time, around 8, we will be a bit flexible in terms of timings. uh, Me and Pritesh, we will send out a link where you can, book a slot with us where a half an hour slot throughout the week to address any questions that you directly have, right? Please do not hold on to any questions. Shoot your questions either on the WhatsApp group if you have WhatsApp or over email. Don't don't wait too much on your doubts. Quickly ask them, call for a call. Let's talk. Let's chat. We will be active. We will be available, preferably post 7:30 p.m. IST, so that it's a good available time for all of us, right? Um, yeah, I think that's about it. Any questions?
Before we wrap up, I want to do a quick survey of where we are leaving the session. I'm going to launch it now. Can the four of you fill it out, please? Please be factual. I don't want you to. Just 3 questions. It's not the best format, but it's fine for now.
Wait, sorry, I have one question.
Yes.
Just wondering that, part on the last slide where you gave a list of what we are supposed to do in the next week, could you like share that on email by any chance? That one slide.
Yeah. All
All of
documents
it
will
will
be.
share.
Oh, sure. That's great.
While you fill the feedback, I just had another question, right? Like, between WhatsApp and email, okay, how many of you prefer WhatsApp? Just like raise your hands. Okay, that's like 3 people. Prajwal, I can't see you whether you're raising your hands or not.
Prajwal is
Uh,
only email.
Prajwal is email. Okay, so Prajwal and I'm assuming Nikhil, 2 email and 3 WhatsApp, correct?
Yes.
Got it. Oh, got it. Okay, then we'll do this, right? Till we come to another common portal somewhere, we will send all communications on both WhatsApp and on email.
Yeah. Stick to that for now, because I think Prajwal and Nikhil will always have a issue with on email. Okay, so yeah, I think we are almost done, right? So let's make sure that all of you guys are working on this over the next week. Make sure that you spend at least a few hours before we come in for the next session. Remember that all of this is useful only if you spend a little bit of time, right? Otherwise, we're not going to get much value out of it. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So the next session will be again on Friday around similar time.
Yeah.
So by that time, again, like one thing that I definitely encourage, please ask away questions. Email, WhatsApp, personal email, group on the group, DMs, all channels are open. Please ask questions if you're stuck. And that's it. We'll share all the documents by tomorrow for sure.
Okay, they'll probably do some work on the weekend. So let's make sure we share it tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Yes, God. Most likely we'll share it tonight itself.
Yeah. Worst case tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, guys. That's what happened.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Have a
Yes,
productive
sir.
weekend, guys. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
sir. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.